Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Jason, and we are back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be explaining my exact process of how I scale coaching offers from zero, complete scratch, all the way to $100,000 per month. Okay, at this point, I think I've scaled at least 5 or 6 offers to 6 figures per month or multi 6 figures per month. And we've even had an offer hit over $1 million in a single month. Every single time it happened, we used a very similar process. It's a 3-step process that I'm going to show you in this video. So make sure you watch the whole thing and let's get into it. In my opinion, most people are never able to scale because they are simply guessing. Okay, so in reality, scaling is simply one big math equation and it's a predictable step-by-step process that I'm going to show you in this video. Before we get into all the sauce in this video, I'm going to get in the weeds, show you step by step. Trust me, there's a ton of sauce in this video. Okay, I want to let you guys know that from what I'm seeing, the info coaching space is changing big time. You can see here, this is a screenshot from an old client in May who did $1.2 million cash collected in a single month. So if you want to do numbers like this, or you want to see fucking Watt payments come through like this, you need a very versatile skill set and you need to know step by step what you are doing. And, it needs to be a predictable process to scale, right? Gone are the days where you can just spin something up, post some random fucking bullshit lifestyle content and just start printing. It's not that simple anymore. I want to emphasize, gone are the days where, an influencer or your client or whoever can just post their Lamborghini. The Lamborghini will generate views and interest and people will be wondering like, oh my God, what does this guy do to be able to afford that? Right. And then people buy their coaching and mentorship because they want to be like said influencer. Gone are these days, right? We had it so fucking sweet. Okay, so if you were not here for like the prime of info and like lifestyle info, then you missed out because we had it so fucking sweet. All you had to do was rent out a fucking car, post a vlog with it, like I think this is Mamba FX, and just fucking, I don't know, you look, you just had to be a little douchebag and you would print some fucking cash with info. But it's like I said, info is becoming more and more competitive and way more sophisticated. Things are becoming much, much more difficult. The true winners and the guys who are able to print nowadays are people with large, versatile skill sets like myself and people who have a predictable process of scaling. People who have the experience and data because they've done it 7 times, like, so the example I want to give to that kind of relates to this is Facebook ads. If you remember when Facebook ads first came out, or if you've heard stories of it like I have, people were fucking printing money out of thin air when Facebook ads just dropped because nobody knew what they were doing. The market wasn't sophisticated for it. Nobody even knew what a Facebook ad was. You had guys like Ty Lopez, Alex Hermosi, who literally made fortunes. They made tens of hundreds of millions of dollars by abusing the fact that Facebook ads were new. Nobody knew really what they were. Like, it was just an easier time. You didn't have to be as skilled with them. Nowadays, though, with Facebook ads, you have to know exactly what the fuck you are doing. You have to understand exactly how the platform works, exactly the latest updates and the creative testing process. You have to understand, you have to feed in, the most qualified data to the pixel. Like, it's way more complex now than it was back then. And it requires a way larger skill set to succeed. And the point I'm trying to make is it's the same with info. Okay, when info was very new, even just like 12 months ago, when the market was way less sophisticated, things were significantly easier. Like, you could just be a bullshit operator, you could have a bullshit offer, and you would probably make some money. But things are rapidly changing. You need to be way more skilled and you need to know what you are doing. And that is the purpose of this video. People who win are people who have proven processes to scale. So tried and true methods backed by data and experience. At the end of the day, we are aggressively attacking bottlenecks at scale and we're implementing solutions at a fast pace to scale. That's exactly what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So fucking settle in, grab some food, grab some popcorn, some Chipotle, whatever the fuck you eat. Settle in and watch this whole video because I'm about to show you my bread and butter proven process that has taken many, many offers to over 6 figures a month and even as far as $1.2 million in a single month, which I've literally showed you proof of in the screenshots before. Just to show you guys a little bit of proof so I'm not bullshitting like a lot of people do in this space. I've really been there and done that. So here's $1.2 million. This is the most amount of money I've made with a client in a single month. We did that in May. The next month with this client, we did $1 million cash collected. That was in June. Here's a separate client where we did 125K in the first 7 days of launching this offer. This was actually a video on my channel, but I had to take it down because I leaked some client info that I shouldn't have. Their 6-figure client did 150K in January. Here's another one of my current clients who did 135K in November and 183K in October. Okay, so what I'm going to show you in this video actually fucking works. It's a very predictable process that if you master, you could do this as well. So step one, if we're taking an offer from complete zero to 100K a month, is you need to understand how to properly launch this offer, right? So what is the goal of an offer when we launch it? The goal is very simple of a launch is to get proof of concept with an MVP. Okay, so what do I mean? And I've definitely like fallen victim to not doing this, and I've gotten completely fucked on launches. So I'm telling you this from experience. What I'm trying to do is get proof of concept with a minimum viable product. Okay, so you're not trying to build out the best fulfillment and the best coaching program ever. And you're not trying to build out the best systems. You're not trying to build out the craziest challenge funnel or anything like that. You're literally just trying to get proof of concept with an MVP and validate the fact that people will actually buy from this client, buy from this creator, and people are actually interested in the concept of one-on-one coaching, right? Most people fuck this up. I fucked this up myself, but most people are so retarded when it comes to launches. And so what they do is they will take a month to launch an offer. They'll create this master plan. They'll think really hard about it, right? Then they'll try to optimize every little thing before they ever get any data in the door, right? So they'll try to build out like the sickest email sequences, and they're going to try to build out the best automations and the best, tech sequences and all this bullshit before they ever even know if the offer is validated, right? And and lastly, people overthink the shit out of everything when it comes to launches. That's how you end up like this guy. But what do Chad fucking scalers do on launches? Okay, people who actually make money in the space. We launch quick and we take aggressive action as fast as possible. All right. We are accumulating data that we can use to our advantage later, right? We are prioritizing the fact that if we just get this up as fast as possible, we're going to get data in the door as quickly as possible, which will help us make more money long term, with the goal of getting cash in first. Okay, let's just make some money with the offer. Let's just raw dog it, get some money in first before we go try to build out the craziest systems and build the craziest sales team and all these kind of things, right? This is what Chad fucking scalers do. Be a Chad scaler. So let's talk about the offer, right? Like, how do you even create an offer from scratch? So the most basic thing you should do is what we're doing at the end of the day is we are selling one-on-one access to the creator and getting proof of concept. That's it. If you cannot sell one-on-one access to the creator for like $4,000, $3,000, whatever, your creator is probably cooked, right? Or I don't know if you're running ads, but I would assume you're not. So if you cannot sell this semi well, if you can't get on calls with people and just say, hey, here's a short list of deliverables. It's very simple, but it's really just a one-on-one hands-on program. If that does not sell well, then that's a huge red flag to begin with. So don't overcomplicate the offer. Just make it very one-on-one based, because at the end of the day, that's what people want the most. The process for launching this is very simple. I've simplified it into 3 steps. Okay. We are building a wait list. We are then nurturing that wait list, and we are then launching the offer to the wait list. Okay. It's very, very simple. So at the end of the day, what we're doing is building a waitlist, like I said. So I usually just build this wait. I usually like host this waitlist on Typeform. All we're doing is collecting name, email, and phone number. And there's some other steps in between, which I'm going to cover. But we need to collect this to get them in the CRM and nurture them properly before the launch, right? And so to promote this waitlist, there's 5 main levers that you can pull. There's probably more than this too. But the goal with the promotion, just to be clear, is you want to pull every single lever you can, right? So if you're launching an offer, you just need to tell people like that this exists. Like, hey, we're launching, there's limited spots, sign up to the waitlist, because that's what at the end of the day, what the advertising process is for this is just you need to tell more people that you have something to sell them, that you're launching this thing, because nobody knows about it. So the way I like to do this is, especially when you're launching organically, Instagram stories is going to be the main lever you could pull. You're also going to want to change out all the links in all your bios and all your content, places. ManyChat and DM CTA has worked really well. So putting like in, the bio, like DM me trading to, join the wait list. That's worked extremely well. any existing communities you have too. So if you have free Discords, free Telegrams, whatever, depending on the niche, you want to make sure you blast them as well as your current, lead lists and customer lists, right? So email, SMS, etc. If you have low ticket offers, exporting those and building out sequences that actually promote the fucking wait list to these people. And so next, like I said, we're just keep it really simple. We're just collecting name, email, and phone number. And then after they opt into the waitlist, they hit a confirmation page. What I like to do with this is leverage software like addevent.com. So they actually add the event to their calendar. That's going to improve your conversion rate on launch. And I like to get them off platform as well. So not only do we have name, email, phone number, but I'll add something in like a Telegram group for them to join. That way, if I run into problems with my SMS limit or my email deliverability, whatever the case is, we have them on Telegram, this completely separate platform where we can blast them, nurture them, etc. Right? To nurture these people, it's super simple. Okay, so after they've given us their information, they're now in the CRM. They're going to be getting a Telegram sequence, an email sequence, and also an SMS sequence. Major key: make sure you raise your SMS limit for launch, or you're gonna get fucked. If you've done that properly and you just email them every day, you text them every other day, whatever the case is, don't need to overcomplicate it. You should get 15 to 20% of your waitlist to apply directly on launch. Like those should be applications that you get right away. So if you have a waitlist of 500 people, you can expect to get 100 applications, 80 to 100 right away. It's barbecue fucking chicken. These people are super high intent leads. They're ready to go. It's a launch. Like you've told them directly, hey, it's a one-on-one coaching program. It's exactly what they're looking for. So all you need is a basic pre-call process where setters dial these leads, make sure they're qualified, put them on the closer's calendar, have the closer reach out to them and send them some pre-call resources, some YouTube resources you have based on their current situation. And that honestly should be good. But as complex as this may look, I want to emphasize that just keep it simple, right? It's a very streamlined process. You don't need to build out like the sickest automations, the sickest pre-call sequences, whatever. Just raw dog it. If you cannot sell this on a launch while you're raw dogging it, this might be cooked for you. You might need a new client. Number two, the second step of this process, and what I like to do after the launch, is we need to diagnose the business and we need to optimize the process. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So the goal here is really simple. Okay, so now we've launched this call funnel. It's a very basic funnel, right? We need to get your call funnel within industry standard KPIs by attacking bottlenecks with speed. I'm going to show you what I mean here in just a second. So the example I like to use here is like a doctor, right? So I like to say you need to learn how to diagnose businesses like a doctor. So when you're talking to a doctor, let's say you have a fucking knee issue, right? You're going to go to the doctor and they're going to ask you a bunch of questions like, okay, have you taken any medication in the past? Have you had any knee problems in the past? What's your current, gym routine look like? Like they're going to ask you all these questions before they identify the main issue. They're going to diagnose you, and then they're going to quickly implement solutions, prescriptions, medication, whatever the case is, that solves that problem that you are having. Fundamentally, they're doing the same thing with this business after the launch, right? So here's a great example that I like to, I think it'll articulate the point well. So let's say you launch, right? You launch a basic call funnel, and this is what it looks like, okay? Let's say your opt-in rate is 30%. Let's say your booking rate is 10%. Let's say your show rate is 20%. And let's say your close rate is 42%. What a retard would do if you don't know how to diagnose a business correctly and identify bottlenecks is you are just going to blindly randomly do shit, right? Like you're probably going to change up the headline on your opt-in page just because you don't like it or you feel like it might be off. You're probably going to change up your VSL, but in reality your booking rate's fine, right? Every single one of these stats are within industry standard KPIs except for show rate. So this is the clear bottleneck of the process. This is the one stat that if you were to double would significantly make the business more money, right? Because in reality, a proper show rate should be upwards of like 60%. Okay, so you could like triple this stat and therefore triple the business. After you're done with the launch, right? 7 days, 14 days after the launch, you take a look at all this data. And yes, you need dialed in tracking and attribution to make sure this is correct. But you take a look at all the data that you've accumulated. And now you can identify bottlenecks like show rate. You can go implement solutions like, hey, what does our pre-call process look like? What are the closers saying to these people? How's the setting call look? You go fix all these problems. And now you can optimize this process to literally triple the business, right? And your goal is to do that with every stat across the board until it's within industry standard KPIs. So to be clear here too, some problems are going to be more complex. So an example of that would be like lead quality. Let's say you launch and you're getting feedback from your sales team that the people that are showing up on calls just aren't qualified and the quality shit and they're just retards, right? Well, this might be a more complex problem for you to solve because you might have to just simply like weed these people out in your VSL, right? It's not a necessarily quantifiable stat, but it's still something that you have to fix, right? So I want to emphasize that as well. Most people do is they operate off emotions. I've had clients do this. I've had people I've consulted do this, right? And clients say that to me all the time. Jason, I feel like we need a new VSL. And I'll say, well, what's the data that you're looking at that's making you make that decision? Like, what is that backed by, right? And typically they can't really answer the question well. And I go and show them like, hey, dude, our VSL play rate is like 50%, right? That's really solid. Our VSL engagement rate is like 30%. And we're getting really qualified leads in the door. This is really crushing for us. Then they're like, oh, I get it, right? Like, a lot of times people who are less experienced, they just operate completely off emotions. This will completely fuck you and it'll fuck your business over. So what we do as Chad fucking scalers, okay, is we aggressively identify bottlenecks based on data. We make data-driven decisions and we implement the necessary solutions ASAP, right? The quicker you implement the solutions and the quicker you solve the problems, the quicker you're going to scale. So after you've done that for a while and you optimize the process, you get each stat at least close to industry standard KPIs. Well, now you have a process that's working, right? And it's pumping out money. You're putting in fucking traffic and you're getting money on the other side. To get to this point in the process, I like to implement monthly webinars and paid ads, right? And I'll explain why in a second. This will make total sense. So the goal of this is very simple, very simple. The goal of this is to unlock scale. Okay. So now you have a process that's working, but you're limited by the amount of traffic and you're limited by, it's just, you need a new conversion mechanism. So I explained earlier, right? You have a working process, right? You are dumping in traffic to one side. Your stats are good. Like these pipes aren't leaking water anymore. They're all patched up. Like everything's flowing smoothly and you're getting fucking money on the other end. What that means is we already have a ton of proof of concept. Okay. We have proof of concept on the offer. It's a proven offer. We have a proven sales process that's been crushing because the stats all look good. The messaging is dialed in, right? Because, we've analyzed our sales calls. Maybe we ran them through AI. And so we know exactly, the type of people that are coming through the door and the messaging's all aligned with those people. Now we can afford to take a way bigger risk to really take the offer to the next level. Right. And so what I like to do is add in a monthly warm webinar and start the process of paid advertising to truly unlock scale. Just for context, I've done webinars for some of the biggest names in the info space. As you can see here, I've done webinars that have generated hundreds of thousands of dollars in a single week. I've probably generated over $1.5 million with webinars. I've also done webinars that have completely fucking flopped. So I have a ton of data on this. And once again, I've really been there and done that with this. But in my opinion, at this point in the process, with how much proof of concept we have, it's really hard to fuck up a webinar, right? The webinar will only make you more money, right? So by adding in a new conversion mechanism, right, a different way for people to convert, essentially, like not everybody wants to convert through a call funnel. If anything, call funnels are becoming more and more saturated. People are becoming more and more skeptical of them. And so it's great to introduce something new like a webinar. Also, you can even add in a new traffic source with paid ads and truly unlock scale, right? And you can start with warm traffic, branch off to cold traffic later. And then you're really off and running to multi six figures per month. Too in depth, but I like to run my webinars in the middle of the month. This is just typically what I've seen work the best. And, that way you can use the first half of the month to promote the webinar and the second half of the month to just print some money off of it, right? This is super important. Do not run a warm webinar more than once a month to avoid funnel fatigue. Okay. Webinars are a funnel that can experience fatigue due to the fact that it's a live event, right? So webinars crush when it's people's first time attending them or even just seeing them from you. Webinars are most effective when it's people's first time seeing them. So you need new people showing up to the webinar every time for it to be effective, or the effectiveness of it is going to significantly drop. Emphasize too, it's like your first webinar is going to crush, right? You already have a large warm audience, you already have a large lead list, right? Take TJR as an example and imagine he's never done webinars. It's like he already has a very large warm audience. So when he launches this webinar funnel, it's going to be this new thing that nobody's ever heard of. The webinar, you're going to promote it to your existing leads via email and SMS. And you already have a very large lead list from the call funnel and from the launch. Like you've gotten a lot of applications, a lot of waitlist opt-ins, etc. And so you can now take these people who are unconverted and you can send them to something completely new that's a webinar, and you can disguise it as a free class. So the reason we wait a month between warm webinars specifically is to give enough time for your warm audience to grow. If you don't do this, you're just going to lose money. The example I'll give is one of my consulting clients, Vander, right? So Vander came to me like a couple months ago and he wanted to run a webinar for his client, right? And we had got his call funnel launched, we got his call funnel dialed. We literally followed this exact same process. We launched a monthly webinar, and the first webinar fucking crushed, right? It crushed. They did, I think, over 6 figures that month. They had a record month. Like everything was fine and amazing. And then in between that webinar and the next webinar, the client stopped posting and stopped being consistent with content. So what was happening was this audience wasn't growing at all. New people were not entering the warm audience, right? Because they stopped posting. And so the first webinar was extremely effective. All these people saw it and a percentage of them showed up to it and opted into it. But if you don't get new people into the warm audience via, video views, via new followers, you just need new people coming in every single month, right? Then the effectiveness of it will drop because the same person just saw you promote that webinar, probably showed up to it, etc. They've already seen it, right? So it's just not as effective. 30 days between webinars gives you plenty of time to post the content needed. Maybe you're running ads, etc., to get new people in your warm audience. Okay, to get new people who have never heard of you within your warm audience, aware of you, and people who haven't seen the webinar. Right? It's to get your audience to grow. If you don't understand that, then you're just going to see a lower ROAS and just lower effectiveness every single time. You have your call funnel here that you launched and optimized. So it generates X amount of dollars per month. Let's say it generates 60K per month, right? Be promoting this webinar for the first 10 days of the month, so you're not going to see any revenue from it. But middle of the month comes around, you run this webinar and boom, you get this huge spike in revenue. And if you have a dialed in post Webby sequence, post Webby, follow up, you're going to see another spike in revenue. And then boom, you'll come right back down. So the combination of these two things, when you add them together, this is how you hit 6-figure months. Okay, this is really what it takes. And you might be thinking, Jason, that seems like a lot of work. Jason, that seems overwhelming, whatever. But that's just where the game is right now. You got to pull these levers if you want to hit 6-figure months, or you're just going to get fucked. If you want to learn more about webinars, I highly suggest you watch this other video on my channel. I went 45 minutes. I went super in depth with my exact process. I showed client examples. I literally gave you guys the sauce for free. And so if you want to learn more about webinars, go watch that video. You launched a call funnel. You dialed it in, so it's generating X amount of revenue per month. It could be 30K, it could be 50K. Maybe you get to 75K a month with that, right? You add on these two things, a completely new conversion mechanism and a completely new traffic source, especially if you're running ads. This is how you add in new revenue, right? That you otherwise previously wouldn't be able to get. I'd know after you implement all of these things and it's all dialed in, you could probably look to add in weekly cold webinars. And maybe even a challenge funnel, right? But that's a question for a different day. What I've showed you in this video, these 3 steps, is plenty to get you from $0 to $100,000 a month. So anyways, boys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I definitely had fun making it. In the description of this video, you will see a link to my Instagram. Go shoot me a follow over there and DM me as well. If you're an offer owner, a coach, or an operator, there's a Calendly in the description. You can book a call and we can go over your current process, what you're doing, and how to scale and make more money and identify bottlenecks like we did in this video. Anyways, boys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I love y'all, and I will catch y'all in the next one.